America as the drivers and crews of today's competition readied their mounts for the impending confrontation. Unlike most other such facilities, this labor was taking place on some of the most historic pavement in all of racing. Since the 1890s, this fabled 1 mile oval has hosted all forms of side-by-side competition, starting, of course, with units of the single horsepower variety. In 1903, 4 hooves gave way to 4 wheels, establishing a motorsports heritage ripe with tales, the likes of which legends are made. For nearly 90 years, the greats of the sport have come here to test themselves and each other. Wilbur Shaw, Rex Mays, Tony Bettenhausen, Andretti, Foyt, Unser, Ward, Ruby, Jones, Mears, they've all been here. And they have all left their mark, continually adding to the storied presence that is the Milwaukee Mile. Today, from the Wisconsin State Fair Park, we hope to add to that tradition as we bring you the American Speed Association's Badgerland 150. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and I'll be joined today by Brock Yates in our coverage of what we feel will be a thrill-a-minute 150 miles. Of course, it's always exciting when you deal with the kind of stock car that ASA has created. They're very lightweight, in fact, fiberglass bodies, very sophisticated chassis, so they're nimble and quick, and an interesting mix of V6 and V8 power plants. Now, the V6 has a weight advantage, was favored to win the pole, but that did not happen. The pole has gone to the number 53 Camaro with a V8 engine. Rookie Scott Hansen, his first ever pole, and congratulations.
Thank you. It feels really good to be here at Milwaukee, and especially sitting on the pole.
Now, yesterday in a qualifying heat, you had an anxious moment. Tell us what happened.
Well, we changed jets in the carburetor for the race, and somehow one of the bolts broke or backed off or whatever happened, and it came out and it just had raw gas running all over the engine, and in turn it started on fire and burned all the wiring up under the hood.
The car's in good shape now?
Yeah, we took it back to the shop and rewired everything and went through everything, and it appears to be running real good.
Honestly, a few butterflies?
Quite a few.
You wouldn't be human if you didn't. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, starting on the outside is a young man who is on a terrific hot streak. Of course, one of the ranking Winston Cup stars, come up here to run with his origins. A man who's won here with the ASA cars on the Milwaukee Mile on a couple of occasions, Rusty Wallace. And Rusty, you sure know your way around here. That isn't a problem.
Well, I love this track. It's a lot of fun. I've won the 150, the 200, all the races up here at Milwaukee. I think I've won like 7 of them. So it's always a treat to come up here and be able to run. This is a new deal for me. It's a new V6 Buick engine we're running that Jim Ruggles built. It's a lot of fun trying that out and trying to relate some of the chassis things I've learned to the Winston Cup car.
Thanks, Rusty. Steve?
Well, it may say number 6 on the front of the blue Thunderbird of Mark Martin, but in reality, they have changed it to number 8 because there were 2 number 6s. But, Mark, you're on the outside of the 5th row. You earned a big reputation at the wheel of an ASA car and made quite a bit of money, as a matter of fact. Now you've gone Winston Cup NASCAR racing and found out it's not that easy to come home, is it?
Well, it's not. Got an awful lot to learn. I've got to, relearn a lot of this stuff, but we got a great race car here and looking forward to a good race.
Now, everybody seems real tight-lipped about their pit stop strategy. What about you?
I don't know. I don't think we've really thought about it a whole lot. We're going to be adjusting on the car. We made some changes this morning, and I have a hard time believing that the car is going to be perfect because I sure didn't know what to do to it to make it that way. We feel pretty well certain that the car is going to be better, and we'll be adjusting on it as we go. So we may stop more than some folks would to continue to adjust on the car.
Okay, Mark, good luck to you. We hope it is perfect for you.
Thank you.
And if you believe that man hasn't thought about pit strategy, well, I got a little swampland down in South Florida I'd like to talk to you about. Just in front of Mark Martin in row number 4 will be this man, ASA star Bob Seneker in a Camaro, the number 84 car. And alongside Seneker in that 5th row when they pair up on the racetrack will be a true legend in short track stock car racing. The winningest driver of them all, number 99, Dick Trickle, also in a Camaro. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates. Brock?
Well, Steve, I'm with Kenny Wallace back here in a pit area, and he is what you call fashionably late. They got everybody's thrashing to get this car. You just rolled it off the trailer. Kenny, what's the problem been?
Well, last night I ran a Busch Grand National race in Gainesville, Georgia, my regular circuit on the Busch Grand National Series. Jimmy Heiskin, They've been working late on this car. The hauler broke down on the way. They weren't planned to be here but this morning because I couldn't qualify yesterday. So, you know, Dick Trickle shows up late a lot and wins, so we'll see.
Oh, boy, you're giving to the last second. You're going to roll out, do practice on the first couple of laps, and then start racing, huh?
You know, I'm ease into it. I might back off a while, but we'll just see what happens. You know, I'm definitely not going to hurt myself. 150-mile race. You know, we'll just see what happens.
Good luck. We'll be watching you.
Thank you very much.
Kenny Wallace. Now let's go to Steve.
Well, Brock, tell Kenny he better get his mount fired up and out here onto the grid because this field is just about to roll. Now, the American Speed Association has some very interesting and very creative rules, all of which are intended to reduce costs in racing and also to increase the competition. And ASA is very stringent about the rubber that these cars carry, and that is even more true here on the longest track they run. We've talked before about ASA's very sensible tire rule, the spec tire. Everybody runs the same rubber from Goodyear, the same hardness. When you cut down on tire wear, well, you cut down on your tire bill. Now, normally, you would run the same hardness tire all the way around the race car. Not here on the Milwaukee Mile. Due to the old surface, it's very abrasive. You must run a harder tire on the outside than on the inside. And they check the tires before the cars go out and after they come in with the same gauge Goodyear uses. It's called a durometer. Now, here's a stack of inside tires. Let's just see what they come out to here. Right about there, about 55, 56. Now, when they check the outside, they better be 4 to 6 points higher on this gauge than the inside, or you've got a real problem, because there's an old trick called soaking the tires, hosing them down or soaking them overnight in the motel pool or the bathtub to make them softer. Well, if you try that, this little unit right here will spot that in a hot second.
And why do you want soft tires? Because soft tires have better adhesion. They grip better. Of course, they'll also wear out quicker. So we've got a nice even field of automobiles here, tire-wise, all the same basic spec tires. And I think that we're going to have one last starter. Kenny Wallace, the crew working on that automobile feverishly, getting it down off the jacks. He's fired up the engine. He is going to get onto the racetrack. He is going to be a starter here. And this Badgerland 150 for ASA stock cars. Stay with us for a great battle on this historic mile track.
Life is good in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, especially if you're fortunate enough to have your craft in one of these beautiful marinas on the shores of Lake Michigan, maybe even a lakefront home. Few towns in America offer more waterfront advantages than this beautiful Midwestern city. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates, and you're looking at the bravest man in motorsports, Mike Dimmitt, the Maniletti of motorsports.
That's right. All he needs is a cape and a sword and maybe some bright beads on his uniform there, and he'd be a regular toreador as he lines these automobiles up 2 by 2. That is a customary ASA feature as the cars come down single file, and in front of this giant grandstand full of fans, it's Mike Dimmitt who sets them up for the 2 by 2 start.
A big field of 41 cars, and the most popular name is Wallace. There's Rusty Wallace in the front row, there's Kenny Wallace in the back row, and Mike Wallace right there in the middle of the pack. All three brothers from Missouri having a great time.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rusty Wallace is having a great time. He's risen to the absolute top in Winston Cup competition. That, of course, was a great star in ASA competition. Speaking of great stars here, Mike Eddy is going to start way back in row 13. He was among the leaders in the qualifying events we saw here last week, then had a rod break on him, put him out of the competition, and that, of course, sets him back in this big, big field, Steve.
And there's some nervous drivers out there, too, Rob, because, as we said before, this is the biggest track ASA runs on, and a number of these drivers have never been here before. In fact, have never been on a track this big. Junior Hanley comes to mind from Canada.
So does Kenny Wallace, who doesn't even have a qualifying or even a practice lap. He's starting way, way at the back. And Kenny's going to, as I talked to him earlier, Kenny's going to use the first few laps for practice, maybe the second 4 or 5 laps for what he might be qualifying, and then he'll start racing. So he doesn't have any idea what the setup is here. As we watch the pole man, 53, Scott Hansen from Green Bay, Wisconsin. He is on board a V8 Chevrolet. Right beside him, the Pontiac of Rusty Wallace with the GM corporate V6. Big debate as to which of those engines is better.
Well, that argument is about to be settled as the green flag waves on the Badgerland 150, and immediately going to the front is the pole sitter Scott Hansen. The V8 outpulls the V6 of Rusty Wallace, who falls into second. Ted Musgrave, the multi-huge blue machine, number 98 in the third spot. Then Butch Miller in 52.
We've seen him win a whole bunch of times. Right behind him, the Canadian Junior Hanley. Here comes Scott Hansen leading him off. Turn number 3 into turn 4. Right behind him, Rusty Wallace. So the position's pretty well stabilized, at least on this first lap, Steve.
And it doesn't take a genius to figure out the quick way around. Look at that. Everybody gets down as low as they possibly can on this relatively flat racetrack.
Right, Steve, only 8 degrees. Remember, it was built for horses back in the last century. As we watch Kenny Wallace in that white number 3, well, he's moved up a little bit. He's starting to challenge John Gerhardt in the 60 car and has already gotten by Dick Parker. So Kenny Wallace kind of feeling his way around a young, fine young driver with a great future.
Scott Hansen, the number 53 car, the leader, kind of slides it through that turn. Rusty Wallace not making up any ground. Neither is Musgrave. The theory behind the V6 motor, part of it anyway, the block is with lighter weight it should be easier on tires, but we're not going to know that until much later in this affair.
That's right. Oh, Butch Miller in the 52. Almost put it in the fence. Boy, it's rare to see Butch get one sideways, but he almost did. And that, of course, gives Dick Trickle in that gold and white 99 and Junior Hanley in the 72 a chance to move by Miller. So there are those two automobiles, the Camaro out of Canada of Junior Hanley and the Camaro out of Wisconsin of Dick Trickle going by the man we've seen win so many times, Butch Miller.
And here's still Dick Trickle and Junior Hanley. They are side by side, much like we saw in the qualifying race last week. Junior Hanley's car handles the middle of the racetrack very, very well.
Junior Hanley, we saw in one of these 30-lap qualifiers, move from 13th to 2nd in an absolutely brilliant drive. He'd never been here before, never even seen this racetrack, and has just hooked that 72 up in great fashion.
So for that 4th position is Hanley in the white 72. Behind him, Trickle in the gold 99. Butch Miller in the white 52 after nearly losing it. And 81, Harold Bear.
All right, Junior Hanley and Dick Trickle carry on here side by side. Interesting, Steve, that Junior can run on that high side. Everybody else seems to, as you said earlier, want to stay right down on that white line through these big sweeping corners. But Hanley in that white 72 seems to be able to run on the outside groove. And that, of course, gives you an advantage. Just kind of drive around everybody.
Well, for a guy who's never been here before, his crew certainly hit on the combination, and everybody is envious of it. Dick Trickle in a car that's about a year old, but obviously still quite competitive. V8 power plant. Butch Miller also with a V8. Wishing he had a V6, he told us.
Well, don't forget, both of these guys have moved to Winston Cup competition, and they came in here with year-old automobiles simply because they've been concentrating on that other form of racing. So Dick Trickle, as we know, has won more short-track stock car races than anybody currently active. He's among the leaders, and this man in that green 88 ought to be. Remember, Mike Eddy started in the 25th spot. Here he challenges 38 Steve Seligman and moves around him, and will try to get by 91 of Tom Harrington and the 9 of Dennis Lampman. So Mike Eddy definitely on the move here in the early stages.
Well, now that he has a healthy motor, Eddy is able to show us his stuff. Dick Trickle, well, he always gives you his best. Trickle in the gold machine, still battling there with Butch Miller, and behind them is Harold Bear in this 3-car punch-up for that 5th place position. Miller in the 52 car still trying to recover from that bobble a little earlier. And here we go, back up front. Number 53, Scott Hansen, continues to lead it as he has from the very first lap. And Rusty Wallace now closing in a bit. Is it time for Rusty to try to challenge Hansen for the lead? Well, we'll find out when we come back. Stay with us in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You are watching Scott Hansen and Rusty Wallace battle for the lead in the Badgerland 150. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans, and so far the action has been wild with Ted Musgrave, Junior Hanley, and Dick Trickle rounding out the top 5. And Steve, Hansen jumped off the pole, and he and Rusty Wallace have kind of broken away from the field at this point.
That's right. Butch Miller, you would think, would be up there with him. He is currently traveling in the 6th position after bobbling, in fact, getting a couple of wheels off of the racetrack. Now, fans were anxious to see how Rusty Wallace could do after a long layoff in this type of stock car. Well, that's how real well. Currently running in 2nd, challenging for the lead.
Rusty Wallace, as we said earlier, one of the real veterans of this kind of competition, and now, of course, a former Rookie of the Year, Winston Cup competition, and now a winning driver all across the United States, and barely lost out on the Winston Cup championship. As we watch Scott Hansen run down the back straightaway here on this Milwaukee Mile at just under 130 miles an hour. Look at Wallace trying to get low on Hansen. And in fact, he will move by and take the lead.
Well, we saw a wisp of smoke off of Hansen's tires. That means the car is loose, sliding. Rusty Wallace saw that as well and dove right underneath him.
So a new leader here, and Rusty Wallace just clips the inside of the apron here as he comes off turn number 2 down the back straightaway, and he has moved out a little bit on Scott Hansen. Hansen, somewhat of a rookie. They call him a rookie in ASA competition, but he's been around a long time. This is his first year in major competition like this.
Ted Musgrave involved in a terrific battle for the 4th position. Musgrave in the 98 multi-hued blue car. There's Dick Trickle. 99 car, the Gold Machine that just whizzed by. Then Butch Miller and Harold Fair, all 4 of those still very much in contention. Well, Ted Musgrave served notice last week. You saw it here on American Sports Cavalcade that he would be a prime threat by winning one of the twin 30-lap qualifying heats and taking advantage of a good starting position here to currently ride into that 4th position. And much like up front with Wallace and Hansen, here we see a V8 Trickle and a V6 Musgrave running very close together. Nose to tail as Trickle takes a look on the outside and discovers he doesn't have enough power to make a pass. The conditions today are very comfortable. Not only the weather, but also the noise level.
Coming to any ASA race, you're bound to see Terry Elmore's truck. He's out of Louisville, Kentucky, and he's got a regular racer's concession stand. All kinds of components for race cars. One of the more interesting one here is this spare muffler. Now, all the ASA cars are required to carry it. It's made by Ed Howe in Michigan, and each car carries 2 of them, of course, because they're V6 or V8 engines, so you use one on each bank of exhaust pipe. This muffler will cut the dB level, decibel level, to about 100, which is the maximum permitted in most kinds of competition. So as we see in a lot of other kinds of motorsport, noise restrictions become more critical, and it becomes a factor in ASA racing. Of course, all the cars carrying each one of the mufflers identical to this, the competition remains even.
And engine builders will tell you that a properly designed muffler does not hurt performance. It can even enhance it. Here's a man with a performance problem right now. The 98 car of Ted Musgrave was running 4th, and he's in the pits.
Well, Steve, the caution has just been thrown, and even though it's early, I think we're going to see some of the leaders come in. Musgrave in. There's his teammate, Mark Martin, in that brand-new Ford Thunderbird. They are putting on fuel, checking the right side tires. They're going to change them. They are, of course, the tires on this big mile oval that get all the wear. But so fuel going on. Musgrave, they're working underneath the automobile. There's more to that pit stop than a simple routine tire change and fill up.
Well, this caution was brought about by some debris on the racetrack that needed to be cleaned up. Now, left side tires going on Mark Martin's car. That machine cannot be handling properly. It's way too early to need rubber on all 4 corners.
Well, remember, he told you prior to the race, Steve, that this was kind of a run-in for the automobile. They weren't really sure. There goes Musgrave underway, and here comes his teammate, Mark Martin. So those 2 automobiles back on the racetrack, but well back. They both were among the leaders. Here comes Kenny Wallace in that white number 3. He was such a late entry, he didn't even have a pit. They're working on it down at the end. And we understand that even though he moved up to 24th place, he had much too tight a rear end ratio in that thing, and he was actually having to shift from 3rd to 4th gear down the straightaways. So he's in for a long afternoon. Now let's go to Steve on pit lane.
You know, very little pit action among the rest of the teams, but both Martin and Musgrave come in on an early caution. Why?
We need a little more stagger on Mark's car, so hopefully it'll get him a little more competition, though.
What about the Musgrave car?
We're having just a little trouble with the transmission right now. We're trying to either get one from Butch Miller or we're going to go run and get one ourselves.
So you may be in for a tranny change?
Could be.
Ooh, those are tough.
Boy, I guess it could be that Jerry Schofield is right. Here comes the 98, Ted Musgrave. He is signaled as to apparently going around behind the pit wall, and maybe they are actually going to take that transmission out of that car and try to change it. These guys are quick, but this is going to drop them hopelessly out of contention. Remember, Musgrave started 3rd, won last week one of the 30-lap qualifiers, and was considered a major threat. but this long stop is going to remove for him any chance of victory.
Well, you got to say that this Musgrave crew is certainly not quitters. They plan to get back out on the racetrack at all costs to get as many ASA points as they can and run for the championship. Notice the truckers say, Brock, let me slip my ears on here, and let's see if we can talk to the 5th place runner, Butch Miller, at the wheel of that Camaro.
Butch Miller, Steve Evans, down in the you got me? Yes, sir, Steve, I've got you. Butch, our first yellow, how's the car performing? Are you happy with your progress so far? No, as a matter of fact, I'm extremely disappointed with our progress. The car is handling very, very well, and I'm not able to keep up. So, you know, if these guys in front of me are handling bad and are going that fast, I'm in deep trouble. A little down on power, are we? Yeah, maybe. We'll talk to you later. Go get them. Thank you.
Well, Butch doubtlessly regretting the choice that he made to run the V8 instead of the V6 that the Throop Racing team had in the truck. There is Ted Musgrave out of his car. He's going to help change the transmission on that 98. Action in the pits. We've got a caution here in the Badgerland 150, but we'll go to green in a minute.
When it comes to culture, Milwaukee doesn't take a back seat to any Midwestern city. Witness this, the Milwaukee County Performing Arts Center, home of the Milwaukee Symphony, the ballet, and the Repertory Theater. But on the Milwaukee Mile, we're cultivating some kind of an ASA stock car race. The field is still under caution right now. Mike Eddy has made some tremendous progress. See the green 88 car there. He came from, 25th and is now running in the 11th spot. He has driven the wheels off of that race car. Rusty Wallace is the leader in a V6 car. Scott Hansen with a V8, then Canadian Junior Hanley, Dick Trickle, another V8, and Butch Miller with a V8, who told us via radio he wasn't real thrilled with the combination. Harold Fair always in contention if he's on the same lap as is Seneca and the rest of the top 10.
Harold Fair in the 81, that black automobile, that's a Pontiac that also carries a V6. So there's a pretty even split among the leaders as to whether or not the V8s and the V6s are working. But you can be sure that Butch Miller wishes he had a V6 on board that 52 automobile as we get a green. Coming off turn number 4, the pace car heads for the pits, and Rusty Wallace leads him down.
But look at number 72, Junior Hanley. Junior has taken 2nd place, and once more as he challenges the leader, Rusty Wallace.
On the outside, the high side, all the way around that big looping turn 1 and 2 here at Milwaukee, and he now has 2nd place. Scott Hansen has no choice but to drop into 3rd place and cannot challenge to get that position back. So Junior Hanley suddenly is a major contender here. We thought he would be, but he has come up much more quickly than even we expected. So Rusty Wallace leads in 3 white automobiles out front here. The 72 of Hanley, the 53 of Scott Hansen.
I think Junior just wanted to get settled down in this race. He only has run 30 laps here in that qualifier, but boy, once he got comfortable, did he ever make a move. Junior Hanley suddenly a giant factor in this event in that 2nd position. Now Mike Eddy on the restart, here's a bit of a surprise. The little V6 Ford, number 5 of Jeff Neal, got around number 88 Mike Eddy for that 10th position. Eddy had been thundering through the pack, and all of a sudden he gets past himself.
Yeah, he may be falling back a little bit. That too is a V6. Buick V6 in that particular case. As we go back to the leaders and we watch Scott Hansen now try to go back at old Junior Hanley. He got snookered a little bit on that restart, Steve, and I think that even though Scott Hansen may have a little smoke out of Hansen's car, may have possibly as much power as Hanley, Hanley seems to be able to use that high side of the racetrack, and I would imagine the handling advantage right now is to Junior.
Well, here's a crew that wishes they were on the pit wall watching their driver, Ted Musgrave, go around this racetrack. But instead, they're working hard in the hot sun, replacing a transmission. You can see the broken unit there. Here comes the new transmission, but it's a long ways from being ready to slide into that race car.
There's Musgrave working on a car as well. He just wants points, Steve. He has no chance for a high finish here, but ASA awards points no matter what. All right, there's your race for 10, and Mike Eddy in the green 88 trying to get back that position from Jeff Neal down the front straightaway. He's got the inside line, and he will move by Jeff Neal. So Mike Eddy back on course, as it were. He lost that position momentarily. Now he's got his sights set on 90 Kent Stauffer down the back straightaway.
You know, we said earlier that we saw some smoke coming off the tires. It's got hands in the 53 car there. I don't think that was off the tires. The smoke now is more persistent. There's some kind of a minor oil leak in that automobile, Brock.
Right, Steve. As we watch basically an all-star collection of drivers for the lead, but look at this all-star. Mike Eddy now trying to go by Kent Stauffer down the front straightaway. We see that green 88 take it over. 9. He's moved from 25th to 9th place.
And the next driver to possibly be his victim would be the number 10 car, Art Summers, who's in the 8th position. The charging Mike Eddy continues to move through this pack.
And look at this wrestling match for second place. That's Hanley, Wallace, Trickle, Miller, Harold Fair, and Seneca, all in contention for that position. There's Butch Miller. Remember, right behind him, the black 81 of Harold Fair. Up front, the white 72 of Junior Hanley is fallen back just a little bit from the leader, Rusty Wallace. But boy, he is in the midst of a major battle for that runner-up position. Each time we watch that 53 car of Scott Hansen's, we see that little wisp of smoke coming off the left side. We don't know whether that's an impending problem, whether it's tire smoke or whatever, but he definitely is emitting smoke. As we watch 88, Mike Eddy continue his charge toward the front, now moving in on the 10 automobile of Art Summers.
Summers trying to defend his 8th position. A lot of pressure from Eddy. Now up front, it's still the 27 car of Rusty Wallace. Wallace trying to put as much distance as possible between himself and the 72 car of Junior Hanley. But Hanley doesn't let him get away, Brock. He knows better than that.
And there's your race for 4th between Dick Trickle, Butch Miller, and Harold Fair. Miller trying to get underneath Trickle down into turn number 1 in the 99 car, that gold and white automobile. Harold Fair out of Detroit, Michigan, that black 81. He kind of brings up the rear, but there's only just a matter of a half a car length separating all 3 of those automobiles.
And Brock, here's a picture taken earlier of the V6 engine in Harold Fair's car.
Yeah, it's an interesting example. These engines are substantially smaller than the V8s. They're only 274 cubic inches against 355 for the bigger engines, almost 80 cubic inches smaller, but they're permitted a much larger carburetor, 600 CFM versus a 390, and also they get about a 75-pound weight advantage. Now that doesn't sound like much, but with carefully engineered and technically advanced automobiles like this, that is a major advantage.
Well, here's Ted Musgrave working hand-in-hand with his crew, still trying to complete this transmission swap. But with every lap, he just goes further and further and further down the list.
So the struggle continues in the Ted Musgrave pit. And look at this, Steve. Car 27, our leader, Rusty Wallace, is slowing under green. We've got smoke out of the rear of that automobile. He is in trouble. He's falling back and headed for the pits. A major change and a major blow to Rusty Wallace's chance for victory here in the Badgerland 150.
And there was nothing gradual about this. Just all of a sudden, Wallace fell back, stumbled. Something has happened pretty severe inside that race car. Already jacking up that right-hand side as if to look at the drivetrain. The hood stays on. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll find out what happened to the leader. We're back at the Milwaukee Mile, where this battle continues for the 3rd spot. Dick Trickle in the number 99 car. You saw him just get a little loose coming out of the turn. Maybe the tire's starting to go away. Behind him is 52, Butch Miller, and 81, Harold Fair. The 3 of them all arguing over that 3rd place spot. And they're about to become a foursome as number 84, Bob Seneca, tags on to the end of that 4-car train. Dick Trickle leading it in the gold 99 car. And Trickle is taking a lot of teasing from his old friends here at the ASA. At the age of 47, he is running for Rookie of the Year in Winston Cup competition. Okay, it's time now to find out what happened to number 27, Rusty Wallace. Why he's in the pits. Brock?
Any way to get it fixed, or is this a history deal right now?
No, we're done right now. We just transmission broken. It's too long to fix it. Yeah. I was real happy with the way the car was running, though.
It was great. You were running real strong. Junior came up on you, but you seemed able to hold him off.
Yeah, well, I was just kind of playing around out there. The car worked good, and on that last restart, I didn't have a right rear tire felt right, so I just kind of let him on by, and then I was going to run him back down and catch him, but then about that time, the transmission broke.
Well, we're sorry. Great show while it lasted.
Thank you.
Rusty Wallace out for the day, Steve. Transmission problems.
And unlike Ted Musgrave, who also has transmission problems, Wallace is not running for ASA points. There's no sense putting the crew through a transmission change. He'll just get out and enjoy watching the rest of the Badgerland 150. And what a race it is to watch. 81 Harold there, right up on the bumper of Butch Miller and Trickle to the outside.
All right, let's watch this. Butch Miller down low. And look at that. Harold Fair just blows right past Butch Miller on the high side to take over that 4th place. So Harold Fair suddenly gets with it. He's been running behind Butch for quite a few laps, and then all of a sudden a burst of speed, and now he starts to challenge Dick Trickle also for 3rd place.
So is it power on the part of the 81 car, or is it maybe the 99 machine starting to fail a little bit?
Well, remember now, some of the guys said that these V6s, as this race went on, the lighter weight and the better handling may start to pay off for him. And Harold Fair starts to really press Dick Trickle as they come off turn number 2. And look at Butch Miller, though, come right back at him. So we've got 2 V8s bracketing that one Pontiac V6, that black automobile. And Dick Trickle, I'll tell you what, he's driving every bit as hard as he can, Steve, to hold off Fair as they come down the front straightaway.
Now, you'd think that the V8s would pull the V6s down these long straightaways. That's what Butch Miller thought when he went to that motor. It's not true here. And there goes Fair right around Dick Trickle. The V6 out-muscles the V8 in a turn.
Absolutely. And look at that. It was obvious now that Dick was just through artful driving was holding Fair up. Perfectly fair to do to Fair, but nonetheless, now that Harold's by him, he started to break away. So it's definite that in this particular stage of the race, that V6 is just out-handling and, as you say, out-muscling those 2 V8s. As we watch Butch Miller now try to move in on Trickle on the outside down through turn number 2. The 99 being challenged seriously as they come off onto the back straightaway. Butch Miller squeezes by on the outside. So Trickle seems to be faltering just a little bit. I wonder if Bob Seneker and the Blue 84 will move up and challenge as well. That we will see in just a moment as those 3 cars roar off turn number 4 and down this 1,300-foot straightaway here in front of this giant grandstand. There you see Butch Miller has moved out a little bit on Dick Trickle, which leads to the question, does Trickle have some problems? Steve is in his pit with his longtime veteran crew chief, Victor Getzlaff.
Well, Victor, Dick appears to be slowing just a little bit. It looks like he's slowing down a bit.
Well, we're taking it easy right now. We're going to wait for our first pit here. The car feels pretty good, he said, so we're going to try to save the left side tires as much as we can.
Dick Trickle is running a conservative race? Is that what I understand?
Yes, he's going to try to run a conservative race here. To finish first you got to finish. So we're going to try to conserve the left side tires and maybe we won't have to change.
Words to race by.
Victor Getzlaff, one of the really great guys and a real character. He and Trickle have some wonderful dialogue on the radio, Steve.
Yeah, most of it, unfortunately, we can't repeat. Well, here's our leaders, 72, Junior Hanley, 53, Scott Hansen. An international battle up front between the Canadian and the Midwesterner. There's Scott Hansen, you see in second, and Harold Fair, very much a part of this.
And there in 4th and 5th are 2 guys waiting for a yellow, Butch Miller and Dick Trickle, both of them hoping to make some chassis adjustments during the stop. Seneker in 6th, and Mike Eddy continues to claw his way toward the front. He's moved all the way up to 7th after starting in the 25th spot. All right, there you see the 2nd place driver, Scott Hansen, moving by Ray Skillman, one of the lap cars, as Junior Hanley in the 72 goes around another lap car. That's Glenn Allen Jr. in the white 66. So the 2 leaders moving through traffic, the slower automobiles moving to the inside of the racetrack. And now let's go down to the pits with Steve to see how work is progressing on the 98 car.
Well, Brock, Ted Musgrave is back into the car just now buckling up. He's got to be a tired young man. Not only is he a hard driver, he also did a great deal of the mechanical work himself. Now, this is a field being plagued by transmission problems. Extremely unlikely and unusual. A leaking rear seal in Musgrave's unit. That forced him to install a spare. The spare, however, was only a 2-speed and would not even get the car to the pits. They had to borrow a transmission. It was not set up for their car. They had to make some changes. They will get back in the race, and they will score some ASA points. This was a rear seal problem, apparently the same as Rusty Wallace's.
So, two of the major players here at Milwaukee fall by the wayside because of transmission problems, actually transmission seal difficulty. So let's hope that that's not an epidemic among this field.
That's right. We've got one of our prime contenders up there, Scott Hansen, showing a little trace of smoke. Could be related to this same problem. Sometimes everybody will have the same part, and there's a problem with its engineering. Down off of the jacks comes Ted Musgrave. He really did a tremendous job of working hand in hand with that crew, and the crew right now not even bothering. Probably didn't put the starter back on the car, would be my guess, Brock.
Push started right down pit lane, but Musgrave fired up and back toward the racetrack. He'll run just for pride and points at this particular stage. Not much else to do other than to just have a go at it. But Ted Musgrave, one of the most competitive of all the ASA drivers, just a hard-running guy, so he loves to race, and he's back on the track.
Our camera crew discovered this beautiful golden retriever in a very historic spot here in Milwaukee, right adjacent to the North Point Lighthouse. Now, this is the third lighthouse that has existed on this location. It was built in 1912, but it uses a lens from the lighthouse in 1868. 25,000 candle power that you can see for 25 miles.
Well, you can hear the action here for a few miles, Steve. Believe me, the roar of engines all over Milwaukee as the Badgerland 150 continues with Junior Hanley leading it. Scott Hansen right on his tail. Harold Fair, Butch Miller, and Dick Trickle hanging in there for that third, fourth, and fifth spot. Mike Eddy continues to hold on to seventh place. He made a charge right to the front, but it's a little more difficult as he gets up among the really fast leaders. He's not picking them off quite as quickly as he was before.
No, he certainly is not. Here's the fight for the 8th spot. Red number 10 car, Art Summers. He is in 8. Behind him, number 1, that's Jay Sauter. Number 36 is Joe Scheer, Kent Stopper, Mark Martin, and Jeff Neal with a V6 in that order, 8th on back.
Well, Mark Martin, remember, had to make that stop under green, and that, of course, put him well back. Normally, you'd find him up among the leaders. Art Summers in the number 10 automobile, currently leading that little pack, sitting in the 8th spot. There he goes by in that red number 10 automobile, coming off turn number 4, and now being challenged by the number 1 car of Jay Sauter. Yeah, that Pontiac of Sauter's, he started way back in the 30th spot, Steve, and has moved up very quickly in this field.
Oh, yeah, he has made some tremendous progress. And we've got contact. It is 1 Jay Sauter and 10 Art Summers, the guys we were just talking about. They have gotten together, spun, but miraculously, everybody has missed them.
So the field gets back underway, but it'll definitely bring out the yellow. And there's car number 9, Dennis Lampman, who overcorrected apparently, or at least got into it a little bit. Got on the brakes a little hard. He is parked on the outside of turns number 1 and 2. He'll get back underway as well. So there was no major damage in that situation, but it was a close call. Let's have one more look at it. That's the 10 car of Art Summers coming into turn number 1, the yellow car, Jay Sauter. He is the son of former Winston Cup driver and also ASA driver Jim Sauter. They get sidewise. You can see Sauter just kind of got into the left front fender of the 10 car. They both kind of do a nice little ballet move, a little pirouette. No apparent damage. Obviously flat spotting the tires on both automobiles. So Sauter down on the grass, keeps it off that fence. And there you see Summers stuffing it back into gear and getting underway.
We know that was really a textbook drive by both drivers, getting sideways and just maintaining control of the car. Now, an awful lot of drivers out there are glad to see this yellow because tires were wearing thin and could have contributed to that spin that involved those 2 cars. You're going to see a flurry of pit action here.
Oh, look at this. The guy's eager to get in there. There is Hansen in the 53. There's Junior Hanley. It looks like he may stay out. He's beyond the yellow line in the 72. No, he's going to dart in just in front of Hansen. And look at this. Everybody, all the major players are in the pits.
Scott Hansen had his pick of the pit spots by being the pole sitter, and he picked the very first one, so his crew got to work before anybody else.
Here comes Dick Trickle. The 84 car behind him is Bob Seneker. Fuel on board, right side tires. I would imagine everybody's going to change all 4. There is the Baker crew working on Scott Hansen. They've already changed the right side. They're at work on the left. There goes Butch Miller's right side. They're off the jacks going around on the other side. Look at this. Scott Hansen is underway already. Textbook pit stop for him.
Absolutely perfect. A big, wide pit access road here. No problem with him going out at this kind of speed. And there you see him flashed by Butch Miller. He is back out on the racetrack. Still, the trickle crew is at work now. It's down off the jack. Here comes Seneca out of the pits. And Junior Hanley, who came in the leader, is having a disastrous pit stop. There goes Butch Miller. There goes Harold Fair. And still in his pit is Junior Hanley. And behind the wheel of the 53 car is a driver very proud of his crew. They won the war in the pits. Brock?
Well, Steve, I'm with Howie Leto, Scott Hansen's crew chief, and I'll tell you what, that was a textbook pit stop. You got to be pleased.
Well, the guys did a good job on that one. They got us out first, and the car's working real well, so we got high hopes for this one.
Scott telling you the race car is set up just right for him. He's happy?
He said the longer the thing runs green, the better the car works, so that's a plus for us.
Good deal. Well, let's hope it stays green. Congratulations on a great stop, Howie.
Thanks.
Boy, there is a crew that is just oozing with confidence. The yellow is still out. Let's see if we can raise Scott Hansen on our radio.
Scott, we just wanted to check in with the ball center and see how the car feels, the motor, and you as well. Everything is going real good right now. We were just sitting back there, like I said before, let everybody else run the pace of the race, and the car just keeps getting better and better. I hope with this set of tires it turns out the same. Does it take a few laps for these tires to feed in, or are they good right off? Well, they appear to be pretty good right off. I was a little concerned with the V8 that the longer we got going that they would go away, but the car appears to be sticking really well. Could you go the distance now if you had to? Only if we had to. I hope it doesn't go that way, but yeah, we could make it. All right, thank you.
So Scott Hansen sits in a beautiful position in second place based on that fantastic pit stop that he made. Now, it is deceiving in that Steve Seligman leads it, but he didn't stop. He started way back in 18th spot. He's not been among the contenders. He's going to have to stop sooner or later, which will mean Scott Hansen, Trickle, Seneca, and Neal are among the legitimate leaders in this race.
The real loser, Junior Hanley. Let's hope he's got a lot of power to work his way back up from the 10th spot after that bad stop. With the yellow still out, let's see if we can talk to Butch Miller.
Butch Miller and Steve Evans. Hello, Steve. Hello, Butch. Are you having a nice Sunday drive? I don't know about a Sunday drive. I seem to be making really bad decisions out here. If I could be in the wrong spot, I'm putting myself there. Car still pushing a bit on you? Oh, the car's really handling fairly excellent. You know, if I had to adjust the car one way or the other, I wouldn't know which way to adjust it. So I guess we're just going to have to ride it out and hope for a good finish. We'll be right with you. Thanks.
The pace car pulling off. That is 38 Steve Seligman, about to be pounced on, I would imagine, by a whole bunch of really quick drivers. As they get on the throttle, the green is out. There all of a sudden you see the 99 car, Dick Trickle, the 53 is Scott Hansen, break free and begin to charge down through turn number 2.
And Seligman in the red car is doing just the right thing. Maintain your line. Don't hit anybody. They're going to pass you whether you like it or not.
All right, there's the 98 on the low side as well. That's Musgrave. Remember, he is way, way back. So I would imagine that Musgrave will get out of the way and let some of the faster cars through. There's Trickle sitting there in the 99 car. Scott Hansen now, he is broken free along with Trickle. And here comes the rest of this pack of high-powered race cars.
How about Jeff Neal? He's just a youngster and the only V6 Ford in the world of racing, as he told us, a number 5 car. He's in the 3rd spot with the green 88, Mike Eddy behind him. So there you've got virtually a rookie and a class veteran in Eddy.
Oh, yeah. Mike Eddy, remember now, we keep repeating this, but it's important. He started in 25th. He is now fighting it out with Jeff Neal for 3rd place in this race. In fact, down the front straightaway, Mike Eddy takes it over as 81 Harold Fair begins to challenge Neal as well. And there is Junior Hanley underneath Neal. So those 3 quick cars move by Jeff Neal and begin to reestablish order. We got a yellow, Steve.
Yeah, we do. We've got a spin and a damaged race car. Number 70, Todd Forbes, has spun in turn number 4. And for very obvious reasons, the location of the car and debris, the yellow flag has come out. But let's remember, we just saw an important round of pit stops. I doubt that there's going to be much action on the wall. We'll be right back to the Badgerland 150 after this. We're
back at the Milwaukee Mile, the Badgerland 150. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans, and Scott Hansen continues the lead. But you know, Steve, Junior Hanley is starting to make a comeback after that disastrous pit stop. He now sits in the 4th spot in that white 72 Camaro.
And there's one of the biggest speeds we have seen all afternoon long, 130 miles per hour, and still that persistent little oil leak on Scott Hansen's car.
We've seen that almost from the start of the race. Apparently no serious problems there, although I would imagine the guys sitting right behind him might be getting a little spurt of oil on their windshield.
And there is Junior Hanley, the white 72 car, challenging Dick Trickle, trying to close in, as he has done repeatedly on the outside of the racetrack, where they say you really can't pass, and there's Fair in his sights.
Oh, Junior Hanley has got that Camaro working just so well as we watch Trickle go around Harold Fair in that black 81 as well. So Harold Fair seems not to be running quite as stoutly as he was before, as we watch Mike Eddy in the 88 now move in to challenge him. So Mike Eddy now working on Harold Fair. Harold is faltering somehow, Steve. He's run him on the leaders all afternoon, but now it just doesn't seem to be showing the kind of muscle that he had earlier.
Yeah, it's hard to guess exactly what's wrong with the car. There goes Eddy by him easily. So it's obvious that Harold Fair... Oh, and we've got a couple of crunched in turn number 1.
That is 71 Robbie Reiser and 07 Lonnie Rush Jr. There is Reiser getting back underway with some badly shredded bodywork on the right side of that automobile. He doubtlessly will rush into the pits and see if they can patch that thing together. Apparently the drivetrain's all right. Doesn't look like major damage there, but not so with Lonnie Rush Jr. That automobile is stuffed up against the fence.
Well, these fiberglass bodies also exaggerate the damage a bit more than metal would be, and they're also far easier to replace. And there, ducking into the pits, is Harold Fair, taking advantage of the caution to try to get something changed on that car, whatever has been holding him back.
There goes the crew unhooking the hood. They're going to try to find out what's going on that V6 Pontiac of Harold Fair. As we've heard from the officials that Lonnie Rush Jr. is all right. He is going to be out of the race, but uninjured in that little shunt, as we watch both Musgrave and Chase Sauter working on their getting their automobiles worked on as well.
Well, it's obvious when Harold Fair came in that he had established radio contact with his crew and told them that whatever the problem was, that it's under the hood, because they didn't mess around with any conversation. They were all ready to pull the pins out of that hood and get after the motor. So apparently there was something wrong in the engine department. Harold Fair now glides back out onto the racetrack. Brock Yates has made his way over to the pits of number 81 to talk to Harold Fair Jr. about exactly what was wrong with that car.
Harold, what's happening to Dad out there? Has he dropped a couple of cylinders or what?
Well, we don't know what it is. There's a miss on the right side, but it's not in the motor. It's something probably in the distributor, or we burned a wire off or something. I don't know.
He's just going to have to carry on, huh?
Well, we're going to ride it out. If it gets too bad, we're going to try putting some stuff on it, maybe.
Boy, well, let's hope it works for you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Well, it may be smart at this stage of the race to not take a lot of time to solve that mystery. Let's see if we can talk to Junior Hanley.
Junior Hanley, Steve Evans, Diamond P Sports Television. Go ahead. Junior, obviously a terrific drive. You're running in second spot. The pit stop hurt you a bit. You seem to have made up for it.
We don't have regular pit stop races, and our pit stops ain't really that good, but car's working really good, and I think we're going to get running about the same as we was before.
We'll talk to you later. Go get him.
All right, Junior Hanley back in it after that terrible stop right on the rear bumper of 53 Scott Hansen. So really the old order's been reestablished. Trickle right behind them, and I think we're going to get a start. Yes, McQueen is out. Hansen leads him down in trouble already, Steve.
Oh, that was absolutely incredible. The number 5 car of Jeff Neal rode right up onto the 8 machine of Mark Martin. Both of those Ford automobiles sustained some damage. Butch Miller was just slightly involved there himself. He got a bit of a fright, but it was Jeff Neal who looked like something out of a thrill show up on 2 wheels.
Oh, yeah, and he's hurt the right front side of that car pretty good. The caution out, of course, as we have one more look. There's Butch Miller in the 52, right behind him, that blue-on-blue automobile, Mark Martin. And they are just getting on the throttle. Car's probably down into second gear. They cram on the power. Here comes Neal in that white and blue number 5 down low. Notice that Martin gets up alongside Butch Miller, and then suddenly Neil is just riding over the top of Mark Martin. Fiberglass shredding everywhere as Neil comes back to earth. I would imagine the right front suspension on that number 5 car is hurt, and who's to know what kind of damage to the rear end of the Mark Martin automobile, Steve.
Well, that was one of the most bizarre stock car incidents I think I've ever seen. And here's the number 5 car, Jeff Neal. He's into the pits. The crew's going to see what they can do to salvage this machine. I can't imagine that Mark Martin won't be coming into the pits.
I would think so. Certainly the rear end of that car has lost an awful lot of bodywork. Yeah, there they are looking at the right front suspension. Certainly the fiberglass fender is torn away, but who's to know about the control arms if they're bent?
Well, that is the first place they go. You can see the crew over on the right-hand side of the car taking a look at the coil-over suspension, and it's pretty durable stuff. And well, apparently they're going back out without any changes.
I guess so. These we've seen, of course, the Outlaw Sprint cars do a whole lot worse than that and keep on running, and these are pretty rugged cars, as you said. So there goes Jeff Neal. I would imagine, though, the officials are going to take a real hard look at that automobile for the body work if it stays on. Here comes Mark Martin. Same work, I would imagine, underway, but on the left rear corner of that car.
Well, that once really swoopy-looking Thunderbird SC Coupe has now got a mangled left rear corner. And, you know, with strapped into the car, I doubt that Mark Martin knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he got apparently kind of dove to the inside a little bit when he got up alongside Butch Miller, and then Neil got alongside him and right in actually into the rear, kind of rode up over the top of him. But strange stock car accident as we watch a very unaerodynamic Ford Thunderbird get underway here.
Well, we've got some time here. Let's grab the trusty radio and see if we can talk to the leader, Scott Hansen, about that oil leak problem.
Scott Hansen, Steve Evans. You got a copy?
Go ahead, Steve.
Some concern in your pit about a possible oil leak. Is that correct?
I guess that's what they were saying. I don't think it's, you know, I would smell it in the car if it was, so I really don't think it's us. There's been a lot of cars leaking stuff. I guess we'll just have to wait and see it. Maybe on the next stop, if there is one, we'll look. But usually when you have a problem like that, you can smell it. And right now, I don't smell or feel anything on the cars.
Okay, thank you.
So Scott Hansen remains confident. Right behind him, of course, Junior Hanley has reassumed that second spot. We remain under caution, but I think the pace car is going to go off on this lap, and we will get a restart here at Milwaukee. Steve Evans?
Yes, it looks that way, Brock. Everybody's staring at that starter stand, hoping they don't have a repeat of the last restart. Well, cooler heads prevail so far. Scott Hansen, our leader, just streaks away, and Butch Miller making a nice move. Miller trying to take over the 5th spot from Bob Seneca, the 84 car.
So Butch Miller underneath, there you see him going underneath the blue 84 of Bob Seneca. Seneca giving way there. Can't really seem to stay with it. Here is Trickle and Eddie, 2 old rivals. Boy, they've been racing each other for years. And Trickle now moves by Eddie in that green 88 to take over the 3rd spot.
3 of the most popular ASA drivers ever running all together there. Trickle in 3rd in the gold car, Eddie in the green car, Butch Miller in 52, the white Camaro.
Right. And let's not forget 84. Bob Seneca has won more ASA races than any of them. So those guys are going at it. But out front, Scott Hansen, the rookie, he is leading them all. And Junior Hanley, the guy from Oakville, Ontario, he's in 2nd. So the ASA stars, the guys that own this kind of racing, sort of playing second fiddle to a couple of newcomers. As we watch Trickle, Eddie, and Butch Miller come down the front straightaway. Steve has made his way to the pits of Butch Miller with his crew chief, Kevin Hamlin.
If Butch has got anything left, now is the time he's got to use it.
Well, there's still 40 laps left, and at this place, if you let the leader get too far stretched out on you, you can get into trouble. But if he's in a comfortable position right now and he catch another caution, we could still be in a real favorable position.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, now he's on the bumper of Mike Eddy in the 88, and maybe is going to move into that 4th spot. He's got the good line down toward turn number 1. And will he make it work? He's down, way down in the yellow line as he moves into that spot, taking it over from Mike Eddy. So, Butch Miller, if he's going to move, as you said, Steve, it's got to be right now.
We have seen him do it so many times before in exactly this same set of circumstances. Let's keep our eye on the 52 car when we come back.
Wait a minute now. We haven't gone to Phoenix, Arizona or out in the beautiful California desert. This is still Milwaukee, but it's all inside at the Mitchell Park Horticultural Conservatory, where rare tropical plants of all kinds are grown inside these giant glass bubbles.
Well, back at the Milwaukee Mile, Butch Miller has planted a seed in the minds of the competition that he's holding back in that 52 car currently running fourth. But judging by our radio conversations, I don't think so, Brock.
No, I don't think so either, Steve. I would imagine that he would have established a position considerably closer to the leader, Scott Hansen, by now. He's worked hard all day just to stay among the top 5 cars and has been unable to really challenge with that kind of customary Butch Miller power and handling that we've seen so often before.
Well, here we see him trying to attack Dick Trickle in the number 99 car. Trickle, who has been third place, it seems like, for days now. But Butch Miller so far unable to get it away from him. Both these cars are last season's cars. Here comes Miller now on the outside. This is a Junior Hanley trick, but I don't think he's got the power of the handling to make it work. But what do I know?
Well, right now he's nose to nose with Trickle as they head down into turn number 1. The 99 car Trickle got the good line, but Butch Miller persists. He's just driving all the way around on the outside. That's a 2-groove racetrack, really. There's Mike Eddy behind him. He too challenges or hopes to challenge those guys. Look at this. We've got a full lap here of nose-to-nose running between Trickle and Butch Miller, and now Mike Eddy in the green 88 kind of came up there and said, "I'll poke my nose in between you guys if I can." That doesn't work. But look at this. Butch Miller does finally persist and move around Trickle.
Well, Miller really does now have the bit in his teeth, and he's going to need it, too, and a lot of horsepower to go along with it, because now in front of him is the 72 car of Junior Hanley, one of the toughest competitors all day. Were it not for a bad stop, he might be further up. 129 miles an hour. They have not slowed down one little bit. Mark Martin now is out of the event. Remember that little punch-up with Jeff Neal? Well, he went back out on the track, tried a few laps, and threw in the towel, and is now driven to the trailer.
Well, Steve, you can see the reason for Mark Martin's retirement there. The whole rear end of the fiberglass body of this number 8 just torn off the car in that restart. Mark has retired, and he's back into the pit area and unbuckled as he is being debriefed by his crewman. Maybe we can get in here and have a quick chat with him. He's obviously disappointed. We'll check and see what's going on here with Mark. Well, Mark, a valiant drive while it lasted, but that restart, I'm sure, altered the aerodynamics significantly.
Yeah, I guess it been a trailing arm or something. It wasn't worth keeping going. It was really out of control, and we just park it.
That's too bad. You and I guess Neil and a couple of other guys got into it on that restart. Is that right?
Yeah, we started to go early, and then before they threw the flag, and then I had to lift, and when I lift, he didn't, and he came on through. But it's one of those things. We anticipated a start, and it looked like everybody was going, and then it looked like they weren't going. So when I saw they weren't going, I stepped on, I lifted out of the gas, and Jeff got into me.
Well, it's sure great to see you back in ASA competition again, and the best of luck with your Winston Cup campaign for the rest of the season. We know you're going great.
Thanks.
Classy guy, Mark Martin. He takes total responsibility, exonerates Jeff Neal. Back out on the racetrack, though, Butch Miller and Junior Hanley still going in, and there is Miller on the inside of Hanley.
I think that you've just seen Butch Miller, as we said earlier, start to make his move toward the front. He is challenging Hanley down low. And you know, Steve, I'll tell you what. Butch told me early in, just before we started, earlier in the day, he said the man to watch is 72 Junior Hanley. That's his prediction. And I'll tell you what, it is absolutely right. Junior now fends him off for a while, even though Miller is down low. Those two almost identical white Camaros look like team cars almost. They're not. They're independently operated, but boy, oh boy, are they going at it. Almost absolutely even automobiles. But Junior Hanley seems still to be able to ride a lot wider groove. Now, look at that. Bounced off each other a little bit. Left a little white paintwork. Exchanged some of that. Down the back straightaway they go. Miller's got the good line, but Junior just won't let him have that second place.
Well, there's moments here when you couldn't put a feeler gauge between these two cars. Both drivers obviously have tremendous respect for each other. And this time across the stripe, there will be exactly 10 laps to go of this 150-mile affair.
So Junior Hanley now has established what you might call a slight edge, maybe about a quarter of a car length as they come down the back straightaway. And Butch Miller, oh, look at that. Bunch of power from Junior. You can see that he just burst off turn 2 and opened out about a full car length lead on Butch Miller. But then Miller just kind of digs his way back in the corners and is able to come back on Junior. But Junior, I think, has a little bit of an edge in horsepower right now.
And I think he's a very confident driver right now, Brock, in his own ability and that of the race car. He just doesn't get flustered. Anybody can do anything they want around him. Junior just hugs that line about 10 feet off of what would normally be considered the low line.
All right, they are suddenly slowing. We've got a caution flag. They saw it on the light coming down into turn number 3. It is the number 51 car of Dennis Vogel. He spun coming off turn number 4. No apparent damage. He's waiting for traffic to clear to get back underway. But in the meantime, we will have a caution period. The pace car will go out, reform everybody up. The ASA officials will take a look, make sure the racetrack is clear, and then we're going to have a sprint to the finish here in Milwaukee. Be sure to stay with us.
Here at the Milwaukee Mile, we are still under caution. But when the green is again displayed, there will be 4 laps to go. And of course, the caution is bunched up the field, and the leader in 53, Scott Hansen, will have Junior Hanley and that man to deal with in car number 52, Butch Miller. Let's see if one more time we can get Butch Miller on the radio and see how he feels about all of this.
Butch Miller, Steve Evans, I don't have to tell you that's a heck of a race with Junior.
Yeah, we're out here having a good time. I just wish that yellow had come up because, you know, I don't want another one of these goofy restarts.
Start coming up. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
Well, whether he likes it or not, we're going to have what he says is one of those goofy restarts right now. Scott Hansen, Junior Hanley, Butch Miller, Trickle. Those 4 guys all bunched together as Seneca, Scheer, Tom Jones, Stauffer, and Seligman round out the top 10. But we've got a green, and here comes Hansen and the rest of them off turn number 4, Steve Evans.
Scott Hansen outpowers him as he has all day in that 53 V8 Chevrolet. But look at the race for the second spot. That is Butch Miller and Junior Hanley. They are side by side, Brock.
And Hanley continues to take that high line, giving Butch Miller a shot underneath him, and he got right alongside him, moved out maybe half a car length, but that superior horsepower of Junior Hanley's down these long straightaways appears to pay off, at least for now. But look at Miller, more and more strength all the time. He's just inching his way, trying to get out in front, but these cars are absolutely dead even around here, Steve.
And with only 3 laps to go, Miller knows he's got to find something here. He couldn't ask for anything more. Junior couldn't give him a better line. Junior keeps his distance. It's Miller's to pass or not.
Well, I would think that if Junior can just eke out a little bit, he's going to duck down and take a low line. He has now moved out in front, taken over that second spot, but the car wants to run wide through the corner, Steve. He can't seem to keep it down low, and that gives Butch Miller repeated opportunities to get underneath him.
Well, Junior Hansen right now would like to forget about Miller. Maybe he can now. He's got him in his rearview mirror and concentrate on winning this race. There is, after all, a car in front of him.
There sure is. That is Scott Hansen, who's about 5 car lengths in front of these 2 guys. Junior Hanley, the white 72. Butch Miller, the white 52. They're almost identical, as we said. And boy, in terms of horsepower and handling, they are identical. But now Miller falling off the pace just a little bit. Can't seem to just get that last 2 or 3 horsepower to get by him.
And this is the last lap here on the Milwaukee Mile. Scott Hansen, number 53. He qualified on the pole. He has led the majority of laps here this afternoon. He's not even breathing right now, I guarantee it. Maybe neither are these 2 guys either. Butch Miller one more time on the inside.
Here he comes. Side by side into turn number 3. There's Scott Hansen's crew. He is going to win it. No way. The other 2, too little, too late. Who is going to takes second place. They're nose-to-nose down the front straight. Hanley takes it by half a car.
And there's a crew that deserves all the high fives and handshakes they can get. Led by Howie Leto, the crew for Scott Hansen. This race may very well, Brock, have been won in the pits on that one outstanding stop.
As I said earlier to him, it was a textbook stop. You don't see any better in Winston Cup competition as Scott Hansen wins it here. The Badgerland 150 goes to this rookie from right up the road in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A local boy makes good. All right, we're back. The race is completed with Scott Hansen winning it. Hanley Miller on a photo finish for second. Trickle and Mike Eddy all the way from 25th to finish in 5th spot. Excellent drive by the veteran from Michigan. Seneker, Shear, Tom Jones, Ken Stauffer, and Steve Seligman round out the top 10. But now all eyes are on the winner, Scott Hansen. Steve?
This is a day Scott Hansen is going to long remember. Scott, on the pole, you win. It's got to be your biggest thrill to date.
I'll tell you, I'm really happy. This Rander car and Hutter engine Camaro just ran perfect all day. The crew did a heck of a job on that pit stop. Took me out and brought me out in front. And, you know, the car just worked perfect all day long. It was just great.
No moment at all when you thought, whoops?
Well, when they started saying I had a gear loop problem, I couldn't smell it in the car. You know, even if I could have, I don't know if I'd have said I could have. But like I said, the car just worked perfect all day long.
Great job again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The winner of the Badgerland 150, Scott Hansen. He won the pole. He won the race. Brock is with second.
Well, Steve, Junior Hanley getting unbuckled here. A fantastic drive. Junior on pit lane before the race, Butch Miller said to me, the man to watch is Junior Hanley. And I'll tell you what, you guys got across. So that was what you call a photo finish.
Yeah, we were running pretty good. Me and Butch, we touched one time on the back straightaway, but didn't hurt nothing.
This is the first time in Milwaukee. You got to like the place.
Yeah, this is a nice racetrack.
Junior, you came up, you ran real strong, but you just seemed to stabilize with Hansen a little bit. Scott just seemed to have a little bit of an edge. Where was it on the racetrack?
Well, I think our stagger was out a little bit with this set of tires, and the car just didn't feel the same. You know, first set of tires was really good, and this set here, it wasn't the same. Something changed a little bit.
You're giving up a little bit in the corners and these big sweepers, huh?
Yeah. It was, we were a little bit slower in the corners. We were better in this corner, but he was better in that corner.
Well, it was a super race. Great show, and congratulations on a terrific second place.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Junior Hanley, great drive. Steve Evans?
You know, poor Scott Hansen. He won the Badgerland 150, but I must tell you, everybody was watching the race between you and Junior Hanley. What a war.
Oh, it's too bad that wasn't for the lead. Junior and I were having a good time out there.
You said the car was pushing a little bit, and you could get inside him but not around him without hitting him.
That's right. You know, this track, I don't know what's happened over the winter, but it's picked up a throttle push. I mean, all the cars seem to have throttle pushes. And from the middle of the corner out, the car wants to go straight ahead. Well, I needed the whole racetrack to go faster than I was going.
When you get on the throttle, it pushes.
That's right. And then, you know, I ran to the side of Junior, and I don't think it's like that.
No, Junior's a pretty big boy. Great job. Terrific race. We enjoyed another ASA Classic.
Thank you.
Butch Miller. Brock?
Oh, Steve, a great show here. The margin of victory just over a second, and 15 cars were on the lead lap when the checkered flag fell. Great race. For Steve Evans, I'm Brock Yates. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team. The nation's premier source of fast lane fashions, Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life. And by this special offer from Diamond P.
Just incredible. You know, for 6 award-winning seasons on American Sports Cavalcade, we've shared the excitement as fearless competitors push too far. Yet, miraculously, we've watched them walk away. Diamond P has now captured all this excitement on a spectacular new home video called And They Walked Away. The mayhem of motocross, the tumbles of sprint cars, the spins of stock cars, 60 minutes of breathtaking footage. For your copy, call 1-800-453-9300 or send a check or money order to this address. Just $24.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling. Visa and MasterCard accepted. Call 1-800-453-9300 now.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.